High noon on a Tom E. Tuesday with Tom E. Curran, NBC Sports Boston. He joins us every week here on Jones and Keefe. He is live in Arizona at the owners' meetings. Tom E. Curran, welcome back to Jones and Keefe. Thanks for taking the time.
Of course. How are you boys?
Oh, we're doing
very
great.
good.
We just wrapped up the tiers. You can seek those out at Jones and Keefe. Metallica cut down the nets earlier today from our March Madness bracket, so we're doing wonderful. But I'm curious, between Robert Kraft and Jonathan yesterday and Mike Vrabel today, you've been in Arizona now for a few days, tracking what the Patriots have been saying, boots on the ground out there. What's your biggest takeaway through a few days out in Arizona?
I guess there's so many varied topics to talk about. My takeaways are all over the place. You know, there's football aspects, there's schedule aspects, there's A.J. Brown aspects, there's so much. So I would say everything is on the table. You hit me.
Well, I'm just curious. First, what's the point of the on the record and then the off the record conversation? Like, what is the value in that in your mind?
That's been consistent. That's something they've done for a long time, where you have an off the record conversation so that you can ask questions and they can feel at liberty to answer and give indications. So that, I mean, it's the same way when a source goes off the record and tells you things that they don't necessarily want disseminated because of blowback that they would get or touchy subjects, you know, to give backstory on things. Now, certainly, and I think I heard Jones say this last night on Early Edition, certainly it absolutely is a representation of one side's version of things, but that's everything in journalism. You're always going to get one side of things, whether you're on the record or off the record. They're going to give their version of events. So, you know, I would say that a lot of the off-the-record stuff yesterday was about facilities, was about the remarkable facilities that they have installed and the impact that should make on players and the team, et cetera. So, but certainly things like that they're very proud of and seemingly rightfully so. But again, that's something that they find that they would like to talk about and see talked about, whereas we are more inclined to talk about the football team and the product on the field.
Just not on the record. They don't want to do that. Interesting. So you said this is something they've done.
Don't act jilted. Don't act jilted.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying if they wanted to talk about it so much, they could go on the record with it.
I think they have a little bit.
Okay.
They probably will continue to.
So do you think do you think fans should care about the weight room versus like the roster?
No, that's what I was kind of just saying.
Yeah.
I mean, fans don't really.
Right.
So, you know, when Jones mentions that, you know, it's basically you're sitting down to get 65 minutes of ownership's version of events, no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. Their opportunity to push back on narratives or anything like that in their mind, and I think in the mind of anybody who goes off the record, it's an opportunity for them to alter the thinking or talking points, whether that's wrong or not. It's altering the thinking and talking points of individuals who are in front of the cameras.
How
again, whether that's, you're going to presume, well, that's a bad thing. I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. What it tends to be is more truthful when you say, well, why didn't they do that? They're obviously doing this to promote themselves. They're not always wrong. So their version of events in some cases needs to be articulated.
Sure. You mentioned they've done this before. I remember very prominently they did this with Gerard Mayo after he was introduced. You know, there was kind of like an after press conference, off the record Q&A or whatever it was, or separately. I don't remember all the details. Robert's done this before. Is Jonathan usually present for it?
No. He hasn't really been doing anything since he was going on 98.5 pregame shows. You know, occasions when we would talk to him, I've had him on camera a few times with quick slants. But no, he's not usually there. He does not like being a forward-facing entity for the team.
So why the without, you know, giving up all the secrets from behind the scenes that I know are off the record? So why the change?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think as Robert approaches his mid-80s, the fact that they have done everything in lockstep, Robert and Jonathan, in terms of ownership for the last 20 years is evident for those of us who are covering the team or in around the league. But I think it's important for fans to understand that, look, there's two of us here, to be cognizant of the fact that Robert's not going to probably go for another 15 years until he's triple figures. So it's not bad to have Jonathan appearing in front of the media to articulate things as well. Because honestly, I think Jonathan's incredibly smart, as you guys have gathered over the time. Robert would talk first, generally, and then Jonathan would generally fill in the blanks or give more illumination to things that were being said. So it was much more, I think, not to give up details, but it was very helpful to have both individuals who are running the team, because one is an eternal optimist and one is more pragmatic about aspects of the team.
What do you think now is holding up the A.J. Brown situation? Is it just Philly looking to get more and higher draft picks, or is it something else?
It's June 1st. They're taking a $43 million cap hit if they deal him now. They're taking a $27 million cap hit if they deal him June 1st. So asking questions to me and conversation, what Elliot Wolf said about Wolf now is basically going up to a woman who happens to be 6 months pregnant and say, baby coming today? No.
Yeah.
Baby's not coming today.
We did do that a lot with Courtney.
So yeah, we did do that.
Yeah.
I understand the June 1st part of it, and I understand the salary cap part, but I mean, this is, I guess, is getting in the minds of the Eagles, but wouldn't the draft still, even though you're taking a little bit of a dead cap hit, you wouldn't be the first team in the league to take a dead cap hit in order to get a player or two back right now to help your team? I feel like it'd be even a tougher sell in Philly to be like, hey guys, we got rid of A.J. Brown. We did save some money and we'll get a pick next year. I feel like getting the pick now is usually how those big trades get done.
Yeah, and the other aspect for Philly is teams are going to come out of the draft and say, okay, our wide receiver room doesn't look like we expected it to.
Yeah.
So maybe we jump into the A.J. Brown fray.
True.
So that might be the double-edged, hey, we could save much more money against the cap. Additionally, we really only have one suitor at this time. Maybe other teams will emerge and we can get the one and the two. So I think those things work in conjunction. Don't do it till you have to do it. They could have I don't know this. I mean, there could be a framework in place, or you say, what are you going to want for A.J. Brown? They tell you, and you say, all right, well, we can't do anything until June 2nd anyway. All right, well, so we know. There's not more. I don't know if there's more discussion to have, unless you just want to check in and say, still solid with that? Still want to do it then?
Right.
Tommy Curran.
So I get their viewpoint.
NBC Sports Boston here on a Tom E. Tuesday, every Tuesday at high noon with Jones and Keefe on Gonzalez. You've heard from the Krafts on and off the record. You've heard from Mike Vrabel. You're talking to people. I mean, the whole league is there in Arizona. What's the feeling on where things are heading with Christian Gonzalez?
The Patriots have not wavered in the conversation as to we anticipate, as Vrabel just said to us, within the hour, we want to draft players, develop them, and the best ones we want to sign to extensions. And Christian would definitely be one of those. He said he couldn't give a timetable. I believe it was what he said to follow that. I can't tell you when that's going to be, but that's what we want to do.
What did you think of last week when he was at the Celtics game and he did the give you some money sign on the jumbo screen?
That's pretty telling. I mean,
yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
And I don't blame him. And I did phrase it when I asked Vrabel about it. I said, you guys have the opportunity to put the pick up his fifth-year option. He goes, well, if we haven't done that already, we should do that today.
Oh, so you asked that. We were reading that comment earlier. We didn't realize that was you. Okay, interesting.
He said, if we haven't done that, we should do that today. And I said, additionally, he's going to play for $4 million this year, which is great for us, not as great for him when he could be probably making close to 35, even 40 on an outlandish contract. And Vrabel kind of, cut me off before pointing out that there's a massive gap between what he's going to be asked to play for and what his market value would be, and said, we want to get extensions done. So whether that means that they are in cutting me off and in between Kraft, between Vrabel, between the number of times they've talked about it, they see it as urgent before the 2026 season. I just think it's going to be urgent for Gonzalez. And if it's urgent for Gonzalez, then he has to, in the same way Deion Branch did a long time ago, if you're going to get your contract redone before your fourth season, there has to be an allowance made by the player. I'm all for him signing the highest contract value-wise in the league beyond McDuffie, but McDuffie was going into his fifth year. So you're making an allowance with Gonzalez and doing it early. And the team Patriots under Belichick never would do it early. If they're going to do it early, there has to be a give-up. So
right, like Gronk and Hernandez were like way under Gronk probably because of the injuries. So okay, fine. But you just said you're okay with him going above McDuffie, which is $100 million. We'll see what goes on with Witherspoon. I mean, do we have any insight whatsoever into the Gonzalez and his camp's mindset? You just said there should be urgency to get it done, meaning he wants to get paid. But I don't think he wants to get paid, just to get paid. He wants a certain number. Is there any insight into his camp's mindset as to what they want? Do they want 101 to just be the highest paid, or do they want to blow that number out of the water?
No idea.
What was another thing that came up?
No idea where they are.
Another news item from this week, Tom, was the Patriots are going to be on Hard Knocks in 2027. Obviously, they've never been on Hard Knocks in the many years of this. I found it comical, not just that they're doing it, but right after the whole thing fell through with Belichick down at North Carolina as well. But what's your take on them doing that show in another year?
I think it'll be great. Vrabel was asked about that today, and he goes, can't wait. And I can't tell necessarily if that was sarcasm. I think it was. But I think in his heart of hearts, he doesn't hate a performance. He doesn't hate to show how he coaches a team and the developments they've made. So I think ownership will love it. Fans will love it. Anything that moves the brand is great. So it'll be fascinating. They're obviously, as you guys can tell and every fan can who's listening, they're a far more open team than they've ever been in most people's football watching lifetime. So this is right up their alley and not surprising.
Just circling back to the facilities for a moment. I know a lot of people had the opportunity to tour them. Have you seen them? Have you been inside?
No. Stacey James, the Vice President of Media Relations, offered up a nickel tour to anybody who wants to stop by, which I plan to do when I get back.
Yep. Very good.
Okay, so we'll get
a sweat in.
Well, we'll get a first-hand account. Yeah, maybe you could get right in there and get a nice workout in. Okay, well,
I'll take the call when I go in there.
Excellent. All right, well, we'll ask you about that next time. Tommy Curran, live from the owners' meetings in Arizona. He joins us every Tuesday at high noon. Tom, we appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
All right, guys. Have a great week.
Thanks, Tom.
Tom E. Curran. You can check out his latest NBC Sports Boston on, the expectancy, and I think it's going to happen, of the 18-game schedule, whether it's this year or next year. Did you see they announced the Super Bowl a year from now will be in Vegas?
Not Saudi Arabia?
But they didn't announce a date. And so everybody's they haven't announced the date because they're probably going to add 18 games. Yeah.
People overall, I think, will like this change because it'll most likely coincide with President's Day. Then, most people have that Monday off, which people have been begging for years. So by putting it one more week, obviously player health goes on the back burner once again. They don't really care about that. So, teams are going to be playing 22 football games, 21 football games. You make it all the way to the Super Bowl, something like that. Whatever. But, yeah, by not putting the date on there is pretty interesting. Pretty telling.
So, it's interesting. So, Curran points out, off the record, they do this all the time. But it's the first time Jonathan's been there for it.
Yeah, it's a little different.
And he let us know most of it, not all of it, most of it was about facilities. So,
I do like that. I appreciate Tom coming on, but he's like, the off-the-record stuff was about facilities.
Okay,
hold on.
But you know what that's actually about. That's about their spending and how they don't care and how they're disinterested and how they've done in the NFLPA survey and how they don't care about their players. And I bet they're pushing back on that narrative. That's my interpretation of it.
So what are you speaking to, though? Like other players that are in free agents? Because, I don't think fans really care. When that survey would come out, we'd laugh at it. Like, oh, the plane sucks, whatever. I'm not getting on the plane. You're not getting on the plane.
No, but I bet they're trying to correct that with the media to correct for the fans. I don't know.
But it's got to be for players.
Maybe it does.
Because I don't argue with my buddy who's an Eagles fan. Like, hey, your plane's better than my plane.
So
nobody cares.
So maybe it is. Hey, correct this because you're hurting us with free agents.
Yes, I think maybe.
Fine.
Everybody's hearing about it.
Maybe it is. But everybody's hearing about your crummy facilities. And by the way, I have not toured them yet. I think it's a joke to call those things state of the art. I think
you haven't been in there.
I think that's a joke. I've seen the exterior.
They
of the
might
building.
be amazing.
It looks like an office park. Is what it looks like.
You got a couple Pelotons in there.
So to me, I want to.
Good thing they don't work out on the outside of the building.
I want to, but the outside of the building is an indication of what you're willing to do on the inside of the building. Would be my.
I've always said, don't judge a book by its cover.
I'm judging this one by the cover, and I want to hear
There's
from
no
Tom.
neon signs. It doesn't look like Vegas.
I want to hear from Tom on the state of the art. It was everywhere this weekend. Reese and his Sunday notes. They're state of the art.
Yeah.
They're top of the line.
The Taj Mahal.
Let's hear from the NFLPA survey how top of the line these things
We'll get
are.
that next year.
And then let's hear from the beat writers who have fawned over some of the facilities. Belichick used to do this when they'd go to Vegas. Last year when they came back from Minnesota, Phil Perry specifically was like, these things are unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal, the facilities they have for their players there. And that's the end-all be-all.
It's for sure not. I can't think of a single free agent the Patriots have gotten or lost based on their facilities.
Okay, but the Patriots obviously care about this.
They
So
do. They don't like being embarrassed.
I'm more poking at that.
Yeah.
And look, I think if you pay them the most, they're going to look past your crummy facilities.
They've done it for years.
But I think they want the record corrected. They're not cheap. They don't cut corner on facilities. They really invest in their players. And I don't know. They upgraded the facilities for sure. They upgraded
But I'd
them.
rather have
Are they state of the art?
As a fan, I'd rather have Max Crosby and A.J. Brown than a lighthouse.
Yeah, me too.
And I think most fans feel that way.
I agree.
But obviously, this is something that
most players feel like their facilities blow.
Do you think
and their
also
planes blow and everything else?
It circles back to Robert Kraft not being in the Hall of Fame, and if you're like, how in the world is Jerry Jones in and Robert Kraft isn't? Well, Jerry Jones has a stadium where they host Super Bowls, they host WrestleManias. It's like this, like the greatest thing in the world. They have the biggest monitor or TV and all this crap.
Kraft has a Bass Pro Shop.
Yeah,
yeah.
But you got good buys in there.
Wow, look, I like a Bass Pro.
I
saw the Easter Bunny there this weekend. Brag.
Oh, you did?
No kidding.
Easter, at the one in
eggs, handing out eggs.
Yeah,
nice.
Right in
wow.
Foxborough.
Sweet.
How about that?
Not bad. I got like binocs there last year.
I wait for the Easter Bunny to come all the way to Charlestown. Personally,
that's true. Yeah.
The eggs that they gave out was a fish.
Fish eggs.
So it was a little fish. Pop it open, little prize.
They call that caviar, Bill.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, that's very expensive. That's
well, there was a
high-end.
little toy inside that caviar.
That's a nice time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you stole your kids' binocs.
No, I couldn't find them.
Wristbands.
Couldn't find Cece's
Couldn't see
binocs.
His
Couldn't
eyes
see him
were
anywhere.
He's like, I feel
No, I went to the Bass Pro last year, and a guy helped me out.
Nice.
Got a good pair.
Yeah, you
got to find them again for next year.
Well, you already got him for the joint practices with the Eagles. That's true.
Oh yeah, where's AJ Brown? I'll be on it like a hawk.
Yeah, you will be. 617-779-7937. So interesting. Jonathan Kraft emerging. And when I think they're managing the message, I think they're like what Tom said stood out. It was a lot of Robert talking first and then Jonathan talking, which might be a lot of, well, what Robert said was this, but what he actually meant was that. And that might be some insight into how they're managing Robert Kraft publicly for his messaging. Because this used to be, I mean, and maybe he'll still do it, but this used to be when they leave Arizona, he used to do the Q&A in front of the microphones, in front of the cameras, and answer all the questions. And now they're managing that. And they did a quick one yesterday.
But it makes sense. Like if you are going to make like a transition of like control, you're not going to just like rip the Band-Aid off.
Look, I'm not
right?
saying
So, no.
I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm
it's
just
just
saying
a sign.
it is.
Yep.
They're managing Robert a little bit publicly and even behind the scenes. And I just think it's not good or bad. It's age, and that's what it is. But that's what's happening. 617-779-7937. Keefe Madness comes your way at 12:45. Let's get into some Patriots leftovers. We'll pick through some of what Curran had to say, more of what Vrabel had to say earlier today, right after Trending with Billy.